Things were going well, maybe better than they had in a long time. And then you did something, said something, chose something, pulled away from something, and now you're standing in the wreckage of something you actually wanted. And the most confusing part is that you saw it happening. You watched yourself do it. Some part of you knew exactly what was coming and did it anyway. And now there's a question you can't shake. Why do I keep doing this? Why every time something good starts to take hold, does some part of me find a way to make sure it doesn't last? That question deserves a real answer. And today, that's exactly what we're going to give it. Self-sabotage is one of the most misunderstood psychological patterns in the human experience, and the misunderstanding itself is part of what makes it so persistent. Most people, when they think about self-sabotage, frame it as a failure of will, a lack of discipline, a character flaw. The person who ruins relationships is afraid of commitment. The person who undermines their own success is lazy or self-destructive. And because the behavior looks irrational from the outside and often feels irrational from the inside, the default conclusion is that something is fundamentally broken in the person doing it. But here is what research in psychology and neuroscience has consistently shown. Self-sabotage is not irrational. It is the nervous system behaving in a completely logical way, given what it believes to be true about the world. The self-sabotaging action is not the problem. It is the symptom. And beneath it, almost without exception, is a nervous system that has learned through early experience that good things are dangerous. That sounds counterintuitive. How can something good be dangerous? But think about what the nervous system actually learns in childhood. If love was inconsistent, if warmth came and then disappeared without warning, the nervous system learned that closeness is followed by loss. If success was met with jealousy, criticism, or increased demands rather than celebration, the nervous system learned that achievement creates threat. If stability was always temporary, if every good period was eventually disrupted, the nervous system learned that hope is a setup for disappointment. And so it developed a strategy. Disrupt the good thing before it can be taken away. End the relationship before the abandonment. Sabotage the opportunity before the failure can humiliate. Pull away before the rejection can arrive. The self-sabotage is not weakness. It is protection. And it is protecting you from a pain it learned to expect a very long time ago. This is what the research describes as an upper limit problem, a concept developed by psychologist Gay Hendricks that describes the internal ceiling each person has for how much good they allow themselves to experience before unconsciously creating a disruption. The ceiling is set in early life. It corresponds to the level of well-being, success, and love that felt safe and familiar in the environment where you grew up. When your life begins to exceed that ceiling, when things get better than your nervous system learned to expect, anxiety activates. And the quickest way to resolve that anxiety is to return to the familiar, to bring things back down to the level that feels known, even when that known level involves pain. Paul describes this dynamic with stunning honesty in Romans 7:15. I do not understand what I do. For what I want to do, I do not do, but what I hate, I do. This is not the language of someone who lacks faith. It is the language of someone who is experiencing exactly what every person with an active self-sabotage pattern experiences: the gap between intention and behavior, between what the conscious mind wants and what the nervous system automatically executes. Paul is not describing a theological problem here. He is describing a formation problem, a pattern so deeply embedded that even sincerity and desire cannot override it through willpower alone. If this is naming something you've watched yourself do for years without understanding why, subscribe to this channel. Every week I create content at the intersection of psychology and Christian faith. I don't want you to miss what's coming. So what does this actually look like in real life? Because self-sabotage rarely looks dramatic from the inside. It doesn't announce itself. It disguises itself as reasonable decisions made at reasonable times. It looks like getting into an argument with your partner right after a genuinely good week together, for no real reason, over nothing significant. It looks like missing a deadline for an opportunity you actually wanted and not quite being able to explain why you didn't complete it in time. It looks like distancing yourself from a friendship just as it was deepening, becoming unavailable, not returning messages, letting it quietly dissolve. It looks like drinking, overspending, or numbing out the night before something important. It looks like picking a fight, creating drama, or generating a crisis at precisely the moment when things were going well enough to be threatening. And here is what makes it so difficult to address. In the moment, none of it feels like self-sabotage. It feels justified. It feels provoked. It feels like the other person did something, or circumstances changed, or you just weren't ready. The rationalizations are always convincing because the nervous system that is generating the behavior is also the one evaluating whether the behavior was warranted. You cannot see clearly from inside the pattern you are running. Healing self-sabotage requires 3 things that work together. The first is recognition, not after the fact, but in real time. Learning to notice the specific internal signal that precedes the sabotaging action. For many people, it is a sudden restlessness or irritability when things are going well, a vague sense of unease in the presence of good news, an impulse to find the flaw in something that is working. These are the signals of the upper limit activating, the nervous system beginning to generate a disruption. When you can name that signal in the moment, you have access to a choice that didn't exist before. The second is compassion, not for the behavior itself, but for what generated it. The part of you that sabotages is not your enemy. It is the part of you that learned, in conditions you did not choose, that goodness is followed by loss. It developed this strategy to protect you. It has been protecting you after its own fashion for a very long time. Healing requires approaching it with curiosity rather than contempt, asking not why are you so broken, but what were you trying to protect me from? That shift in posture is not just emotionally significant, it is neurologically necessary. Shame activates the threat response and entrenches the pattern. Curiosity and compassion create the safety the nervous system needs in order to update. The third is experience, the accumulated evidence of a different outcome. Every time you notice the upper limit activating and choose not to generate the disruption, every time the good thing continues and nothing catastrophic happens, your nervous system registers a new data point. The ceiling begins to lift, not dramatically, not permanently after one experience, but gradually through repeated encounters with a reality that is safer than the one that was learned. This is the renewing of the mind that Romans 12:2 describes, not as a one-time spiritual event, but as a sustained, experiential process of the nervous system revising what it has been trained to expect. If what we've talked about today is something you want to go deeper with, I created a structured 7-day journey to help you calm your mind and begin working through the patterns your nervous system has been running on. It's called the 7-Day Guided Journey to Calm Your Mind. The link is in the description below. It's practical, it's gentle, and it's built for exactly this kind of inner work. Take the next step at your own pace. You are not broken. You are not self-destructive by nature. You are someone whose nervous system learned to set a ceiling on good things. And that ceiling was built, which means it can be rebuilt. Subscribe to this channel. Every week I create content at the intersection of psychology and Christian faith because your inner life matters and you deserve the language to understand it. You are not alone in this.